Hillary Clinton has a book coming out. That's one of the, Hillary Clinton has a brand new book coming out, and it's a memoir. I don't know who's wanting to read about Hillary Clinton. I don't know who's wanting to know about her life still, but it's called Something Lost, Something Gained. And the something lost, by the way, was the 2016 election. The something gained was about $170 million for the Clinton Foundation. But that's basically what she's doing. And when you have a book that you're promoting, what you have to do is you have to go out and you have to do a book tour. You have to go out and you have to say, hey, look, I have a book. I want you to read it. I want you to buy it, really. Actually, the fun fact, we don't care. Authors don't care if you read the book. They just want you to buy the book. So I want you to buy the book. And the best way to buy the book is to go out on television or on the radio or anywhere else and make really inflammatory statements, make really inflammatory comments. And that's exactly what Hillary Clinton's been doing. She went out 24 hours after Donald Trump's second assassination attempt. She went on Rachael Maddow and she said this.
I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is.
Yeah. And once again, as we discussed moments ago, that is not the press's job. The press's job is not to get together. The TV stations and the radio stations and the newspapers and the blogs, their job is not to get together and come up with a consistent narrative. Their job is to report a story. And the fact of the matter is that you have some outlets that report the truth as they see it, and you have other outlets that report the truth as they see it, and then you have a bunch of other outlets who just make crap up because they believe it's what their candidate of choice would want them to do. Now, if the narrative is consistent across all media, odds are you've got a problem. But Hillary Clinton is now, she's basically just ripped off her mask of tyranny. And she's now saying, look, I'm old, I need money, I don't care anymore, I hate Donald Trump, and I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know this is my philosophy. The media's job is not to report the facts. The media's job is to get together and try to stop Donald Trump. And she quoted this journalist, Harry Evans, who's a British journalist. You've probably read some of his quotes before.
I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
Yeah, that's not the quote. Here's the quote.
The late, great journalist Harry Evans, one time said that, journalists should, really try to achieve objectivity. And by that, he said, I mean, they should cover the object. Well, the object in this case is Donald Trump, his demagoguery, his danger to our country and the world, and stick with it.
Yeah, but again, that's a misquote. He said objectivity does not mean neutrality. It means fairness and balance. And that's exactly what the media should be doing. They're not doing that. It doesn't mean pick an object, as she's saying, like, oh, I don't know, Donald Trump, and just railroad him into the ground and make stuff up about him so that people just believe anything that you say. That's not all. Destroy the man's career and ruin his reputation and destroy his businesses and his family's good name. None of that is at all. None of that at all is what Harry Evans had to say about objectivity or anything else. He was a journalist that was looking to really just try to change journalism and protect it. But what's happened is, of course, the mainstream media and the Democrat-leaning media and all those people have basically just destroyed every aspect of journalist. You may remember his most famous quote, by the way, which I know you know, is "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." I believe that's his most famous quote. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And the irony is that Hillary Clinton's quoting that guy and saying there's too much justice in the world. There's just way too much justice. Too many people believe what Donald Trump says. Too many people are listening to Donald Trump, and we need to make sure. And they're all propagandists.
I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
Yeah, we got to deter all these propagandists, AKA conservatives. We've got to deter all these conservatives from having an opinion. We've got to make sure that we deter them. And if we had civil penalties or criminal penalties for people who had a different opinion than the Democrats do, which is what she's talking about. When she talks about propagandists, she means someone who is not spouting the same rhetoric and talking points and thoughts and ideas that she and the Democrat Party have. That means me, that means you, that means all your friends who are creating memes online, that means Mike Gallagher, that means everybody. If you're a conservative and you're creating any kind of media, whether it's audio, visual, whether it's a tweet or an X post or whatever it is, then you need to suffer criminal and civil penalties as a deterrent, and they want you to stop it. She wants to live in a socialist communist society where the government dictates what is free speech and what is not. It's basically just bringing back, the free speech czar and letting everybody know what you can and cannot say. And speaking as someone who has been labeled an international propagandist for using AI to generate a photo of Donald Trump at a Christmas party with Black Americans, I know exactly how dangerous this is. If Hillary Clinton were president, I would probably be in jail. If Hillary Clinton were president, that photo, that AI image of Donald Trump, which, by the way, is not a fake photo, it's a real AI image. But that image would have landed me some kind of civil or criminal penalty as a deterrent to other people who don't believe what Hillary Clinton truly believes. Thank God. Thank God she's back. By the way, there's a lot of Democrats out there who are spewing rhetoric and hate toward Donald Trump. And that's something that, in fact, Donald Trump yesterday said one of the reasons he believes he's been targeted not once, but now twice. One of the reasons he believes he's been targeted not once, but twice with an assassination attempt is because of the rhetoric of the left, because the media, the elected politicians, the president of the United States, the vice president of the United States, the Speaker of the House, the minority leader, all of these people, so many Democrats in power and a bunch of Republicans have been saying the most angry and tyrannical and damaging and destructive and inflammatory things about Donald Trump that eventually people are going to believe it, especially if they hear about it from, their elected officials and their trusted media. Their elected officials and their trusted media are telling them these horrible things about Donald Trump. His campaign put together a list. It was pages, 1, 2, 3, I printed out 4, 5, like 10 pages here of all of these things that the media and the Democrats have been saying about Donald Trump that he believes, that his campaign believes, have created this environment where now you have Democrats and Republicans and all these other lunatics who believe Donald Trump is the horrible person that the media has painted him out to be. I was going to just read them here on the stream, but what I decided to do was I thought it might be a little bit better if you could see visually who was saying these things, and if you could listen to, some appropriate music in the background. So I put together the entire list, and I'd like to share it with you here right now. This is the actual statements made by Democrats. Trump is a threat to our democracy and fundamental freedoms. It's on us to recognize the threat Trump poses. Does one of us have to come out alive? Ha 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 ha. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Trump is a threat to this nation. There is one existential threat. It's Donald Trump. Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. Trump and MAGA Republicans are a threat to the very soul of this country. Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. And that is a threat to this country. Are Republicans a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Bye-bye, Donald Trump. Trump is a threat to our democracy of the kind that we have not seen. MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. He is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated. Trump is an existential, urgent threat to our democracy. Trump presents a fundamental threat to the republic, and we are seeing it on a daily basis. Trump is an enemy of the United States. Are Trump supporters preparing a civil war against us? I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that Trump is connected with who are training up in the hills somewhere. Trump is an existential threat to our democracy. Trump is the gravest threat to our democracy. Trump cannot be president again. He's an existential threat to democracy. Trump remains the greatest threat to our democracy. What unifies us as a party is knowing that Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy. Trump is a threat to our democracy. The threats to our democratic republic are real. Trump and his extreme right followers pose an existential threat to our democracy. We cannot underestimate the threat Trump poses to American democracy. Trump is an extreme danger to our democracy. Trump is an existential threat to American democracy. Trump is a threat to our democracy. Trump needs to be shot. Trump Republicans are a dangerous threat to our state. Remove the national threat from office. Donald Trump is a threat to our nation, our freedom, and our democracy. He is the greatest threat to law and order we have in our country. The threat is not over. Trump is an existential threat to American democracy. They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump. Democrats should turn their fire on Donald Trump. We must stop Trump. No ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon. This really seems to be the confluence of two very bad things going on in the Republican Party. The attempts to divide to enrage the population. The last thing we needed was sympathy for the devil, but here we are. Today's apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims. Do you expect there to be calls from within the Trump campaign to tone it down? Another chance for Trump to frame Democrats as dangerous has emerged. Vance incites potential violence with lies. Was the golf course guy with a gun a migrant? Trump and his running mate have spent the past week successfully inciting violence. Today they want to present themselves as near victims of violence. Trump is a threat to democracy, and saying so is not incitement. The former President Donald Trump brings a lot of this stuff on himself. Hope in America, golf course incident, Trump seizing on assassination attempt. Because of this communist left rhetoric, the bullets are flying, and it will only get worse. That last quote, of course, from Donald Trump himself, which I think wraps it up pretty clear. By the way, if you want a copy of that, we put it up on our YouTube and also on our X feed, so you can go check it out. But that's just a fraction. I mean, that wasn't even the Hillary Clinton comments from today. I'm sure there's hundreds and hundreds of other comments that we could get from folks that show everybody. They show all of these things that have been accumulating. And think about this. Now, most of you listening, most of you watching our live stream and listening to our podcast are intelligent people. You understand how this country works. You understand what this country needs. You understand how the media works. You understand that the media is biased, that these people are feeding a narrative to a bunch of other folks. But there's a lot of folks who aren't as intelligent as you are. There's a lot of folks who are not as emotionally balanced as you are. There's not a lot of folks that understand how many genders there really are and which sex can get pregnant and which sex can't. And as a result, when you start feeding these people this information, they just start to believe it over. It's like they print it over and over and over and over again. When I worked in music radio, they always asked me, the one thing I got a question about was, how come you play the same songs over and over and over again? Because that's how you get them ingrained in someone's head. If you listen to the radio and you hear the same song every 90 minutes for 3 weeks, eventually that song's going to be stuck in your head. You're going to have an emotional connection with that song. You're going to have an emotional connection with that artist. It's the same thing that the Democrats are doing. They're trying to ingrain. That's why you heard them saying the same things over and over again. Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy. It's not just what do you call it? It's not just a coincidence that they're using the same rhetoric. It's not just a coincidence they're using the same words almost verbatim. It's totally planned. That's what they want to happen. That's what they want to do. They want you to believe Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy, which is why they say it over and over again. It's also very annoying because this is not a democracy. It's a democratic republic. And the fact that the Democrats consistently they do that for a couple of reasons. I used to think it was just one reason, but now I found out there's a second reason. The Democrats will constantly lie to Americans about this country being a democracy and not a republic because, number one, they call themselves the Democrats. They're the Democrat Party. So they believe if people think this is a democracy, the Democrats should be in charge of it. So we're going to call it a democracy. If they went around telling people that it was a republic, rightly so, people might think, well, if it's a republic, maybe Republicans should be in charge of it. If it's a republic, maybe these Republicans know a little bit more about it. They can't have that. It's totally a mental trick that they're trying to pull on you. If they tell you that we live in a democracy, then you're going to think that Democrats are more aligned with our system of government. But it's not so. It's actually a republic. And on Constitution Day, which is today, I'd like to remind everybody, that's why we call it Mark K saves the republic and not Mark K saves the democracy. Because it's not one. The second reason I believe that they do it, and this is something that I've just kind of recently come to the realization of, is because the Democrats want to get rid of the Electoral College and they want to use the popular vote to decide any and all future elections. They want to get rid of the Electoral College. They just want the popular vote. And they're like, all right, if we can just convince everybody that we're a democracy and democracy rules and we have all these, people out there who are voting for Democrats, then we'll just get rid of the Electoral College, because in a democracy, that's how it works. People go and they vote, and whoever gets the most votes wins. In a democratic republic, in a representative republic like we have, it doesn't work that way. We have the Electoral College in place to make sure that every state, every county, every city gets a fair shake when it comes to choosing the executive branch of government. The Democrats want to get rid of that. And to have a democracy, a true democracy, that's exactly what they would need. So I believe those are the two reasons why they wrongly continue to decree that we live in a democracy when we truly don't. Also, they may just be stupid. That's the third reason. Third reason is they may just be dumb and they may not know any better. They may not know any better. Hey, speaking of people who may not know any better, a couple of really interesting things has happened. CBS News went out to Nevada. Do I want to go to? Yeah, I want to do this next. CBS News went out to Nevada and they went to diners and they tried to find Kamala Harris supporters. And I want to play for you what happened when they went to the diners to find the Kamala Harris supporters. But before we do that, I do want to remind you that we clearly we're growing, as you can tell by some of the growing pains we've had today. We are trying to get bigger and better. And one of the ways you can support our cause is by going to markkshop.com and getting yourself some fantastic Mark K Saves the Republic gear. Whether you choose a hoodie or a t-shirt from our Brighter Futures collection, if you want to be a true Patriot and get yourself some Patriot garb, we've got t-shirts and hoodies, and we've got these tank tops in all great shapes and sizes and colors. We've got the Mark K signature line with the signature rope cap, which I should probably wear more. I've been wearing that lately. I gotta put that back on my head. It's been raining, so I haven't really put on a hat, because usually I put on a hat. I go outside, I put on a hat, but it's been raining here in Florida for like 3 weeks straight. And 1 week I was actually in Philadelphia, so I got to wear the hat, but I'll start wearing it again. The Mark K Saves the Republic line of mugs and hoodies and t-shirts, very popular. Anyway, if you're looking for a way to support the show and also sport the show on your chest or your back or wherever, markkshop.com is the place to go. markkshop.com is the place to go. And remember, anything and everything that you purchase is fantastic. It gets to you as quickly as possible. And it also, like I said, helps us continue to do this every single day and just get better and better and better every single time that we do. All right, let's get back to CBS. So CBS News, they went out to Nevada because Nevada, as you know, is one of those swing states. Nevada is a state that's in play, and a lot of folks on the left are going to try to tell you that Nevada is going to Kamala Harris. A lot of folks on the right tell you, no, it's going to Donald Trump. I, for one, personally believe that Nevada has had enough of Joe Biden. They've had enough of Kamala Harris, and they're ready for a change. A real change, because Kamala Harris is like, we're ready to move forward with me. No, that's not moving forward. That's running in place. Donald Trump is the change that this country needs. It's the change that Nevada needs, and it's the change I believe. It's the change I believe that Nevada is gonna make. Well, CBS went out there and they sent a reporter to a diner, which is the new thing. Fox News started this. Brian Kilmeade was always doing like diner stuff, and now everybody goes to the diners. But here's what happened. Listen, she's back in the studio. Listen carefully. She's trying to tell everybody on the set something happened when she went to the diner. She couldn't believe it. It was just baffling to her. Listen.
We had so much fun. But what was really incredible is in every single restaurant of the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant. And we left no stone unturned. I approached every single person.
She approached every single person in the diner and went to multiple restaurants. And in every single restaurant in Nevada, she says it's incredible they could only find one Harris supporter.
We had so much fun. But what was really incredible is in every single restaurant of the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant. And we left no stone unturned. I approached every single person.
I don't think that's incredible at all. I find that to be credible. I 100% believe that. I believe that to be 100% credible information. If you're telling me we went to all these places, we went in the diners, we started talking to folks, we could only find one Kamala Harris supporter in each restaurant, that to me is probably the most credible reporting CBS has ever done. And then she shared some of the actual information she got, some of the things that she heard when she talked to these voters. Listen to this.
Leanne and Stephen Schaefer were first to arrive and say they can't wait to vote.
I want someone who's strong, who demands respect and who gets the respect, and who can deal with foreign leaders. I think Trump's the guy.
I think Trump's the guy. I want somebody who's strong. I want somebody who's going to garner respect. I want somebody who can deal with foreign leaders. And Trump is the guy. Kamala Harris is not the guy.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
I mean, could you imagine her saying that at like the G7 or the G8 or the G whatever we're up to? Can you imagine her walking into a meeting with Vladimir Putin and him saying, "I will not give back Ukraine and you can't stop me"? And she goes, you think you just fell out of a coconut tree, Vlad? What are you even talking about? You're a lunatic. But I could 150% hear her saying that. But then they talked to the woman's husband too. Listen to this.
There's so much going on throughout the world, in this country as well. But do you remain hopeful about America?
I tell you, I've never owned a gun in my life, and I own 4 of them now.
Really?
Yes. I fear for our country.
Was that faux shock or was that faux real shock? Really? You now own 4 guns? Well, yeah. I live in Nevada. We're very close to the border. I don't know if you've heard about all these illegal immigrants that you guys are just letting on into the country. These unchecked illegal immigrants who may be gang members, who may be human traffickers. These unchecked gang members who may have drugs on them, who may be part of MS-13 or that Venezuelan gang that comes into Aurora, Colorado and takes over those apartment buildings. Oh, also, fun fact, your candidate, Kamala Harris, she's not a big fan of law and order or police. She worked to defund the police, and she worked actively to raise money to bail criminals out of jail so they could go out and, keep doing the crime spree stuff. They could keep being bad. That's what Kamala Harris did. So yes, no, I don't trust Kamala Harris. I don't trust the Kamala Harris regime. I don't trust the Kamala Harris administration. And I don't believe that this country is going to be better off. In fact, I believe it's worse off. I don't feel safe at all. So I took matters into my own hands. And I went out and bought not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 guns. Never owned a gun in my life. But now I own one for every year that Kamala Harris has been in office and made this country worse. I wholeheartedly believe that. Year 1, Joe Biden rolls in and he opens up the border and things start getting bad. And this guy's like, wow, maybe I should get a gun. So he goes out and he buys a gun. Year 2, things are getting even worse. He's like, I'm going to need another gun. By year 3, he realizes they're going to try to take away all the guns. So he buys another gun. And then here comes 2024. And his wife's like, baby, what do you want for Christmas? He goes, guns. And now in 4 years' time, this guy went from 0 guns to 4 guns. And this CBS reporter's like, really? That's amazing. What's amazing is you think it's amazing that you found one Kamala Harris supporter in these diners. I'm amazed you found one. 100% honest with you. I'm amazed you found a single Democrat in any one of these diners. Because let's be honest, what do we know about people that go to diners? They're early morning people. They usually are stopping in on their way to work. They have jobs. I'm shocked you found a Democrat at 9 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is. Those people are usually still sleeping till like noon, and then they get up and then they go, I don't know, get their welfare check. So they go to the head shop. That's what you do. You go to the head shop. You'll find a bunch of Democrats there. They probably won't know. They probably won't know who Kamala Harris is, or they may be voting for Donald Trump. You never know. Even the stoners, even the people that you thought were a lost cause, I think they're on board with Donald Trump. I mean, we've got tons of rap musicians, not saying that they're all stoners, but the rap community is known for a proclivity toward drug use. And they're coming out on stage and they're saying, I support Donald Trump. I support Donald Trump. Donald Trump's my man. We need Donald Trump. I mean, this is what we're starting to see in this country. Donald Trump came out and said, look, he supports the amendment here in Florida, unfortunately, to legalize marijuana. He's saying it's just a matter of time. Anyway, we need to make sure that we have it under our control. We need to make sure that the government is in control of how it's distributed and dispensed, and that we're doing it the right way. That's his opinion. It's not mine. But there are people all over the country who are pro Donald Trump now, and you'd be shocked. And I'll be honest with you. One of the most shocking is Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo. Do you guys remember Chris Cuomo? Chris Cuomo was on CNN And his brother was the Governor Cuomo of New York State during COVID, Andrew Cuomo. And Andrew Cuomo had to quit because there was some shenanigans going on with some females, and he got Me Too'd. And then Kathy Hochul came in, and that was really the nail in the coffin for the whole state of New York. But also Chris Cuomo had to quit because it turned out that he was working to help spin things with his brother. He was working to help protect his brother and bury this story and tell him what to do when he was coaching him. And so CNN Apparently, CNN did not like the idea of one of their anchors coaching a Democrat out of this Me Too situation that he found himself in, even though they were brothers, so they let him go. And he went off, and he was depressed for a while, and he got COVID, and then he yelled at a bicyclist in the Hamptons for not wearing a mask, or he got yelled at for not wearing a mask. I forget. It doesn't really matter. Well, now he's back, and he's got his own show, and he's got his own podcast, and he was on television yesterday, and he was talking about a phone call he made to President Donald Trump. Chris Cuomo, after the second assassination attempt was thwarted on Sunday, Chris Cuomo picked up the phone, called Donald Trump, and said the following.
What is going on with us? I don't get it. That's why I reached out to Trump. I wanted to just say, listen, I'm really sorry that this is going on and it's being dealt with this way. Not because I'm in favor of his politics or what he says. I criticize him all the time. That's my job, and he deserves it. But he doesn't deserve this. A guy pointing an AK-47 at him while he's playing golf? And we take solace in the fact that the guy didn't get any rounds off. That does not work for me.
Yeah. Chris Cuomo called Donald Trump to say, what's going on? And he said, I apologize. I apologize, because Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon and Brian Stelter and the rest of those weirdos over at CNN were notorious for using their nightly newscasts. It was a nightly thing with Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon, and they had back and forths, and they would say the meanest, nastiest, dirtiest, most untrue things about Donald Trump any humans have ever said. Don Lemon would say, well, the president is a racist. It's official. That was one newscast. He started his newscast by saying, hello, I'm Don Lemon. Welcome to CNN's Don Lemon Tonight. It's official. The president of the United States is a racist. And that was supposed to be news. And Chris Cuomo was no different. He was attacking Donald Trump every single moment he had. Every minute of that newscast was an attack on Donald Trump for years and years and years. And now Chris Cuomo sees that there's a guy sticking a gun out of the bushes. He's been sitting there for 12 hours. 12 hours, the guy sits in the woods waiting to take a shot at Donald Trump. We still don't know how he knew Donald Trump was going to be there because, again, last minute decision. But he was there. He was there on Sunday. He was ready to go. He had his makeshift body armor, his Joe Biden-style tile-in-a-bag body armor, his AK-47. He had his GoPro fired up, ready to go, because not only did he want to take shots at Donald Trump, but he wanted to document it. Why did he want to document it? I don't know. Maybe he needed proof for whoever he was working with, or maybe he thought it would make him famous. Who knows why these people do? I mean, I have some ideas, but we don't know for sure, not until the investigation's over. But there's Chris Cuomo, and he's saying, I called Donald Trump, and I apologized to him. That's where we've come to in this. I didn't have that, by the way. I didn't have Chris Cuomo calling Donald Trump to apologize on my 2024 election bingo card. I also, however, did not have cats and dogs being eaten by Haitian immigrants in Ohio on my 2024 election bingo card either. So there's that. I got to really think bigger. I thought I was a really creative guy. I thought I could see things, I thought I had, I'm not like an oracle or anything, but I thought I could look a couple moves down the road. Never once did I believe that there would be cats and dogs being eaten by Haitian immigrants as a major campaign issue here in the 2024 election. And I definitely did not see Chris Cuomo coming forward to announce that he's called Donald Trump to apologize for helping the inflammatory rhetoric get to a point where Donald Trump is the target of a shooter, not just while he's at a rally, but on a Sunday afternoon golf outing with his buds. J.D. Vance, by the way, we talk a lot about how J.D. Vance is a real boon to the campaign. Let me share this with you real quick. This was his post yesterday. He did this post on X yesterday, which was really long. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but he basically goes through, yesterday Donald Trump nearly lost his life. An armed gunman waited for him in the bushes. He brought a GoPro camera to record it. President Trump, he wrote, is my running mate and my friend, but he is more importantly a father and grandfather to people who love him very much. I want him to have many more years with his family, and selfishly, I'd like many more with my own. I admire the president for calling for peace and calm. The rhetoric is out of control. It nearly got Steve Scalise and many others killed a few years ago. It nearly got Donald Trump killed twice. But I want to say something about yesterday's news and how it illuminates the difference between vigorous debate and violent rhetoric. Here is what we know so far. Kamala Harris has said that democracy is on the line in her race against President Trump. The gunman agreed and used the exact same phrase. He had a Kamala Harris bumper sticker on his truck. He was obsessed with Ukraine's fight for democracy and absorbed many unhinged views about the Russia-Ukraine war. His name is Ryan Routh, and he donated 19 times to Democrat causes and 0 to Republican ones. So anyone telling you this was a Trump supporter, this was a conservative, this was somehow somebody on our side who was sick and tired of Donald Trump is lying to you. It's not what you say, it's what you do. And if you donate money to a campaign, that's where your loyalties lie. If you donate money to one side of the aisle or the other, that's where your ideology is. That's your shared perspective on life. And if you're running around quoting Kamala Harris saying democracy is on the line, then you definitely are not a MAGA Republican. You are not a conservative. You are not one of Donald Trump's faithful. And I think that's pretty clear because the guy was hiding in a bush with an AR-15 and Donald Trump, we know, was the target. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. He writes, how do you think the Democrats and their media allies would respond if a 19-time Republican donor tried to kill a Democratic official? It's a question that answers itself. For years, Kamala Harris's campaign surrogates have said things like Trump has to be eliminated. And how have their media allies responded to the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump in as many months? NBC News called the attempted assassination a golf club incident. It's CNN, by the way, when he first was attacked in Butler, Pennsylvania, when he was shot at in Butler, Pennsylvania, and he fell to the ground, they said Donald Trump fell or slipped. Don't you remember? Donald Trump slips during rally. It wasn't a slip. They immediately went back and they changed that headline, but that was their initial reaction, was that Donald Trump slipped during a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. And that's why he was laying on the ground. It is a crazy time that we live in, of course. And this Democrat rhetoric is not, we thought, maybe, just maybe, that the Democrats would tone down their rhetoric after the second assassination attempt. Not so. Hillary Clinton is out there saying, you know what? The media we need more rhetoric. Hillary Clinton saying we need more people to come together and say bad things about Donald Trump. The problem isn't that we have too few negative comments about Trump. The problem isn't that we have too few angry statements about Donald Trump. The problem isn't that we have 4 pages of Democrats saying untrue statements about Donald Trump being a threat to democracy and inflaming people around there, lower impact and low intelligence people to maybe commit acts of violence. The fact isn't that we need 19 pages, not 4. It's not nearly enough. We need more of this kind of angry rhetoric and the media needs to get it together. CBS, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, you guys got to get your act together. We can't have you people on a separate page. There is no fact-checking Kamala Harris. Follow David Muir's example, Hillary Clinton says. Fact-check Donald Trump even if his facts are correct. Call him a liar, even if he's telling the truth, and ignore every single fallacy and false statement that comes out of her mouth. Do like David Muir would do, is what Hillary Clinton's saying. That's the only way we can eliminate this guy.
I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is.
That whole, you know what it is? It's that pesky First Amendment. That's what she's saying. The First Amendment, let me bring it here. It's Constitution Day, so I should read from the Constitution. It's very exciting. Here we go. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. And Hillary Clinton is like, I don't understand why you guys can't just get together with a narrative. It's like you think you're free to write and report and broadcast whatever it is you want. It's like you feel someone gave you this right, this freedom to just do and say and tell people whatever it is you want to tell them. You guys need to get together. You need to get in line. The word on the street, Pennsylvania Avenue, is that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, an existential threat to democracy. Donald Trump must be stopped. As Representative Dan Goldman said, he must be eliminated. Those were his words. And you guys, until he is, you guys need to get it together. This is not a free press. This is not free media. We have a government in control. And that government says, you guys got to get in line. Also, go buy my book. It's called Something Lost, Something Gained. Something like that. Yeah, Something Lost, Something Gained. Maybe the something lost is her mind. Maybe that's, I thought it was the election, but maybe it's just her mind. Who knows? Anyway, listen, we got a lot of stuff that we've got to talk about here before the election. There's a lot of stuff going on. And it is, oh, by the way, before we get out of here, I want to remind everybody, there's a couple of governors out there that we've been following for a long time. When we were on the radio, we were broadcasting in Florida, all over the state, and in Ohio, and Dayton especially. And we would always report on Governor DeSantis, and we would always report on Governor Mike DeWine. And Governor Mike DeWine and Governor Ron DeSantis are two similar but different people. Let's just say similar but different. Ron DeSantis, that guy is, we call him we have this League of Extraordinary Governors, and we called him, he was the founding member of the League of Extraordinary Governors, and he continues to be. His place is not in the White House right now. Like, let's just be honest with that. I wish he'd seen it sooner. I wish that he didn't go through this episode or this exercise where he went up against Donald Trump. I wish they'd been aligned from the get-go. But his role, his job, is to be here in Florida, governing the state of Florida. And what we saw happen on Sunday is one of the big reasons why. Because Ron DeSantis has stepped up and said, look, you can't come into Florida from North Carolina or Hawaii or Ukraine or wherever this guy's from with a gun and try to shoot one of our residents, one of our presidents, and our candidate and potentially future president. We don't like that here in the free state of Florida, and we're going to investigate and we're going to prosecute. And he said, a lot of folks are saying he's not letting the feds take this guy. That's not 100% true, but he is saying we are going to have our own investigation and we're going to get to the truth.
I think what will reveal, I think, is the important thing. What the state does is going to be made public. I mean, if you guys know who are from Florida, you can FOIA a lot of the stuff that's done in these investigations under Florida sunshine laws, and then they have a charge to be very frank and exercise candor with the public. I want the information to get out. I do not want any of the information kept under wraps. We're not a party to anything that happened in terms of the state of Florida government. I mean, we have been asked to help in the past on security, and we're always willing to do that. But that wasn't our primary. We were not responsible for it that day.
Yeah, and he said,
not been responsible for any of the prosecution.
Right. So Ron DeSantis is saying, look, we are not responsible for this security, but we were there, and we are now going to investigate, and you're going to have full transparency. You're going to have full transparency on everything that we do. Mike DeWine, by the way, was also in the news because of these hoax calls that have been being called into schools. All these schools have had these hoax calls because of the Haitian immigrants that have taken over the school systems, that have drained a lot of the educational systems in Ohio, especially in the Springfield area. And these calls that came in, he said, are from foreign influencers, and every single one of them was a hoax.
At least 33 separate bomb threats, each one of which has been responded to, and each one of whom has been found as a hoax. So 33 threats, 33 hoax. I want to make that very, very clear. None of these had any validity at all.
33 threats, 33 hoax. Is it not hoaxes? What's the plural of it? I think hoax is the singular. 33 threats, 33 hoaxes. Let me just see. Hoax, plural. Yeah, hoaxes. Well, you know, he's Mike DeWine. He's just going to say whatever he wants. But that's foreign intervention once again in an election. No word, though, from Mike DeWine as to what he's going to do about it. If it were Ron DeSantis, he'd have Florida investigators shutting down any and all foreign influencers who were calling in bomb threats to our schools. That's all I'm saying. Listen, I got to wrap up. I got to figure out what was going on earlier today. But thank you so much for listening. Thanks to Mike Gallagher. We really appreciate it. Check him out and support him because he's a really good guy and he has a fantastic show. Thank you to everybody who watched. If you're listening to the podcast or if you're listening to the live stream or if you're watching us on any of our platforms, please make sure that you subscribe. Please make sure that you watch. Please make sure that you're sharing this information. Please make sure you're telling wherever it is you're watching or listening to us that you want more of this. Please come back every single day at noon Eastern, 11 Central, because that's where you're going to get the information, the real information, the truth, not that Hillary Clinton propaganda. And even if it lands me in jail or with civil or criminal penalties, we're going to continue to bring it to you because that's what we do. We're here not just for fun. We're here not just because it's cool. We're here not just to sell t-shirts or gold or anything else. We're here because we all have the same goal. We all want to save the republic, not the democracy, the republic.